Hey there, what's going on, everybody? It's Star. So, are you aware of what a trinket is? I think everybody uses that word to describe some, cute, tiny little thing that you bought at like a thrift store or out of a Hobby Lobby, or you saw on the ground one time and you just decided to keep. And it has a lot of uniqueness, it has a lot of memories, and it has a lot of life to it, even though it's just an inanimate object. I know there's an actual definition for the term trinket, but everybody loves trinkets. Everybody loves tiny little cute little guy things. And I am a collector. In case you guys didn't know, I collect a lot of things. I collect jewelry, I collect posters and art prints, I collect clothes, and I collect, little trinkets. Like I was saying, I have a wooden box in my office right now that is full of tiny little items that I have been gifted and I have collected over the course of about a year and a half now. And I love them to pieces. And today, what I wanted to do was bring more life to those pieces by turning them into their own original characters. I don't really have much to say past that, so without further ado, let's get into it. This is the first image that I have right here of the first little trinket that I'm going to be drawing today. And this little thing basically was something that I bought from a nerd store downtown. At the time, they were selling these tiny little I guess you'll say animals, figurines. I don't know exactly what they were called. They were just random little guys that were in a bin, and it was my roommate's birthday coming up and I wanted to give them some sort of gift, so that was what I bought them. And then when they moved out, she had actually left it in the master bedroom that they had stayed in. She had left it really up high as well, so I could barely reach it, and I almost missed the fact that she left it behind. But yeah, she left it as soon as she moved out, so I just decided to keep it for myself because it was really cute anyway. And then the thing it's sitting on top of, I actually have no clue what that is. It's some sort of rock or something. I don't even know if it's a rock. I genuinely have no clue what that little thing is, but I thought it would be cute to put the little fox on top of that thing, so that's, why the fox is on top of it. This is the first mood board that I came up with for this first little trinket, and I centered this entire idea off of the model at the top that has her hair in that little triangle shape because I loved how this looked, and I love the idea of making the ears, quote unquote, for the fox be the hair for her instead. The whole image is just really pretty. I've seen that model multiple times before. I can't remember her name at the moment, but this was a perfect image for my idea. And then after that, the other images was just me looking around for some kitsune imagery. And the idea I came up with was to match together some of this like 80s tie-dye type of style with the kitsune wear and match those things together. I had no clue how I was going to do that when I did this, or if it was going to look like anything remotely good, but I still wanted to kind of try that out. So every single one of these designs is going to have a small little story behind the character, just to make it a little bit easier to connect with them and see their stories. So for this lady, this kitsune woman has the power to time travel, but she can't control it. So she travels to different time periods without warning, and she has no idea what the triggers are for this power to start or anything like that. It just randomly happens. Time traveling also affects her memory, so she can't remember how old she is, her family, what she likes, or even what her original name was. She goes by Keisha or Kitty whenever she has to interact with anyone in these times, but she doesn't bother making friends or anything because she always time travels away before a true relationship can form between anybody, whether that would be platonic or romantic. Currently, she is in the, we'll say, 1990s right now, trying to function and live, and she has a lot going for her at the moment, and she is able to live comfortably, but she has no clue when all that will change and that a bunch of stuff is going to switch around for her. So she's just trying her best to keep her powers from activating. Most people would really see these type of powers as some sort of blessing or some sort of amazing, thing, but she sees it as a pure curse, and no matter how hard she tries to figure out how to control them, it just makes everything worse, and it just makes her memory worse, and it just brings nothing but pain. So she doesn't even bother trying to connect with them of her own accord, or anything like that. And as far as she could tell, there's nobody else that has this power. So it's not like she can go and find a mentor or somebody that is better with these powers that she can confide in and figure out, how to use her powers in. She is completely alone in this one. So she's just trying to live in the current timeline that she is in and figure out how to, continue without activating her powers. The next little trinket that I have here is a little duck with a pink bandana around his neck. And I believe I found this at work. I was working at a thrift store and I constantly was finding small stuff like this on the floor or on the register counter or amongst the shelves all the time. I was finding stuff like this everywhere. And I think that that is where I found this guy. And initially he was going to be a part of our Jeep, because Jeeps have ducks, but I decided to keep him for myself, and I'm glad I did because he is adorable and we are here now with him. So his design is going to be very fun. So I was coming up with the story for this character at the same time that I was coming up with this mood board. So a lot of the choices that I made were centered around the story. And the first thing that I wanted to do was showcase that he was against following authority. And the best way that I thought about showcasing that was through streetwear. But I also wanted to mesh the style of streetwear with a sort of cowboy style because of the bandana around his neck. And I wanted to keep everything vibrant. I wanted to make everything as vibrant as possible. So I was thinking about that while doing this. I also wanted to keep him with some sort of buzz cut or keep him some type of bald, mainly to center what he's able to do, his powers around what the top of his head looks like. So I also thought that that would match a little bit better with the type of story that we're going to be going for with this character. So this character is called Valence Taylor, and he is a lab experiment that was created by the government that escaped from captivity and went into hiding deep within a very populated city. And he has the power to make elastic bubbles come from out of the top of his head, hence why I decided to keep him with a buzz cut. In the final design, you'll be able to clearly see where he's able to pull his bubbles from at the top of his head. It also keeps his hair from growing. The fact that his hair is the source of his power just keeps it from being able to grow like any other normal person. This is also the doing of the government and their constant experiments on him. They were able to make him come around with this power and just keep that type of thing going for him. He's on the run currently from the scientists, and he lives homeless. If you can imagine kind of the personality and same type of situation as Aladdin, and he keeps his identity a secret. He doesn't really have a superhero name or anything like that, but he keeps everything about him as secret as he possibly can. This is the next trinket that we're going to be working with today, and this is a sort of Mexican folklore type statue of a cat that I found while I was at work one time. It randomly appeared on my receipt scanner, on top of my receipt scanner at my register, and at first I was trying to leave it there so that I could have a cute thing in my register when customers saw me, but I eventually decided to take it home. I did eventually give it to this kid that I'm tutoring. He wanted it really bad, and I saw that he did really good during his lesson, so I decided to go ahead and give it to him. So he has it now, but I did find this while I was at work, so this is the next one we're going to be working with today. So this is the mood board for this next trinket, and as you can see with any animal shaped trinkets that I got, I wanted to try and make sure that I didn't just make like a furry character. I wanted to actually, make it into a human, but I still wanted to keep the essence of the item. I still wanted to keep the essence of its colors and the culture that it might have come from and all that type of stuff. And this one gave Mexican folklore, like how I was saying. Anytime I look at any Mexican folk art, this is similar to what it looks like. And I mainly thought of this really happy, really silly Hispanic girly with a lot of red in her wardrobe and with some darker tanner skin. So that's what I was really thinking of when looking at this little trinket. So for this next character, her name is Lucia Valentine, and she is a dancer who was well liked amongst her town and amongst her village, and everybody knew her name, and she was always the light of every party. But unfortunately, she was brutally killed in her own home by her abusive ex-boyfriend, and she was lost to the village. Her happy-go-lucky attitude was erased from this town, and the town started becoming a lot more dark and a lot more solemn after her death. So Lucia is able to shapeshift into a cat, and that is what I decided to do to keep the cat aspect of her going. And she shapeshifted to this cat so that she can spend time around other women who are suffering in an abusive relationship to give them advice and to give them solace. The women never really question it. They always take it as a blessing and try to follow the cat's advice, and like the fact that they're able to confide in somebody during their tough times. So this is the last trinket that we have for today, and it is a rusty old bell. Now this bell I found actually on one of my dates with my boyfriend. So we went out fishing to a little pier that's nearby the house. It was a small little area that leads out into the ocean, and he had reeled up one of these, and I ended up wanting to keep it after everything was all over. So that's where I got this from, and it was at the bottom of the lake, and she somehow had reeled that up instead of like a fish or anything. So that's where I got this from. So this is the mood board for the final design, and I knew that I wanted this design to be centered around a fisherman just based off of where the trinket came from. But the other thought that I had was that I wanted the character to use the bell itself as like some type of weapon or something like that, which made me think of Street Fighter, and that made me want to turn this whole design into a sort of video game thing. So I wanted to mesh the design of this character that I found from Street Fighter. I don't actually know his name, but I wanted to mesh his clothes with the regular like fisherman garb that I see in multiple designs of fishermen. So I didn't actually come up with a name for this guy, and I didn't even realize that I didn't come up with a name for him until like just now. I realized that this speed paint took me a very long time. This whole design took me a while. So when I got done with it, I didn't even think about naming him and stuff. But the story that I came up with was that he was a video game character that gained sentience and escaped from his game console, and he has a lot of malice in his heart because he's angry about what he had discovered about himself and his world, about how everything wasn't real and how, you know, he technically wasn't real. So he wanted to become more real, and that's basically how he achieved that, was that he left his confinement and he's sort of wandering. He hasn't really found any people yet, but he is taking comfort in the place that he has always found comfort in the most, and that's the sea. So he spends a lot of his time in piers and fishing and trying to think of his next plan of action. And that's gonna do it for this video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This was a very fun project to work on, and I hope you guys enjoyed looking at me try out this little idea. I was spending a lot of time working on this. It took me a very long time to finish this, and my style was fluctuating a lot during this video and during the time that I was trying to complete this, but it was still really fun. Sorry that I had to whisper for 90% of this video. I wasn't alone in the house, and I had to figure out how to still record this while somebody else was in the home with me, as well as try to avoid all the other noise that was going on in the house. So really sorry about that. I hope you guys could still hear me, and I hope that this video was still enjoyable regardless. Also, I want you guys to know that I did notice that we hit 100 subscribers, and I am going to make a video addressing that, so just stay tuned for that. I am working on it as we speak. But again, that does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.
I'm on the way. If you can't match it, get on my face, yeah. Yeah, get on my way, some bitch, don't ruin my day.